You know, every so often in the history of technology, there's a moment, a real turning point where things just fundamentally shift. Today, we're talking about one of those moments, a time when two incredibly powerful technologies came together to create something that sounds like science fiction, applications that can literally run themselves. This is the story of true automation. Apps that run themselves. Just let that sink in for a second. This simple phrase wasn't just a catchy tagline, it was the whole vision. The dream, really, was to build an enterprise stack that was completely automated, from the deep infrastructure of the database all the way up to the apps people use every day. That core idea is exactly what we're going to unpack here.
So, here's how we're going to break it all down. First, we'll dive into that self-driving vision. Then, we'll look at the two key technologies that made it a reality. We'll zero in on the big breakthrough in 2017, get into the nuts and bolts of the autonomous engine, and finally, see how this whole thing completely reshaped the enterprise world.
Okay, so to really get this, you have to picture the problem that pretty much every big company was dealing with. They were just sinking massive amounts of time, money, and talent into just maintaining their core systems. The goal here was incredibly ambitious. What if we could create software that could manage itself, tune itself, and even secure itself? That would free up all those smart people to focus on, actual innovation.
Now, a vision this big doesn't just appear out of nowhere. It was actually built on the shoulders of two separate, super powerful technologies that had been evolving for years. It was bringing them together, that fusion that really lit the fuse on this revolution. And this slide just lays it out perfectly. You got two distinct, powerful layers. On one side, you have fusion applications. That's the sophisticated software as a service layer handling all the critical stuff. We're talking finance, HR, supply chain, the works. Then on the other side, you have the autonomous database. Think of this as the intelligent, self-driving foundation, built on specialized hardware like Exadata to get every last drop of performance and reliability. They were great apart, but putting them together, well, that was a total game changer.
Which brings us to a very specific moment in time. This is when those two pillars were officially joined, creating a brand new standard for what a database and an application could be.
The year was 2017, and Oracle drops this huge announcement. It's officially pairing its brand new autonomous database with its top-of-the-line Fusion applications. Now, this wasn't some slow, gradual thing. It was a very deliberate, strategic move designed to create the industry's first ever fully automated enterprise stack.
So we keep using this phrase self-driving, right? But what does that actually mean when you're talking about a database and the apps running on top of it? Okay, let's get into the mechanics.
It really all boils down to these three core capabilities. First up, self-tuning. The database is smart enough to automatically optimize itself for the applications, making sure everything runs at peak performance without a human having to touch a thing. Then, self-securing. It handles all of its own security patching and encryption, which, let me tell you, is a massive deal for sensitive financial and HR data. And finally, self-repairing. It can automatically recover from failures, which means the system is basically always on and available. And as you can see here, the benefits went even deeper than that. This tight integration made things like elastic scaling possible, meaning the system could automatically grow or shrink resources as needed. It also powered all these embedded analytics and predictive insights right inside the Fusion dashboards, putting intelligence right in front of the users who needed it most. It's brilliant. A tech leap like this is never just about the technology itself. It's about the ripple effects, the shockwaves it sends across the entire industry. So let's look at the real-world consequences and how this fundamentally changed the game for businesses and for IT pros. I love this slide because it shows the human impact so clearly. Just look at the role of a database administrator, a DBA. Before all this, their job was completely dominated by routine maintenance. Patching, tuning, backups, literally just keeping the lights on. We're talking up to 80% of their time spent on that stuff. After automation, their focus could totally shift to high-value strategic work like data governance and figuring out how to use all that data to drive actual business innovation.
And the results for the business itself? They were absolutely tangible. By automating all that tedious infrastructure work, operational costs just plummeted. With security and patching handled automatically, compliance and data protection got a massive boost. And by being the only ones offering this, Oracle really strengthened its competitive edge in a super crowded market.
So, this is the crucial takeaway. The combination of Fusion applications and the autonomous database wasn't just another software-as-a-service product. It created a whole new category. This was self-driving SaaS. It was the fulfillment of that original vision, and it completely changed what every enterprise expected from their most critical technology.
And all of this leaves us with a really fascinating question to think about. As more and more of our foundational systems become autonomous, it forces us to ask, what's next for us? When the machines are handling all the maintenance, what becomes the new frontier for human ingenuity?